Welcome to another episode of Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting, relic, and treasure hunting. You can also call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have. Relics Radio is also now syndicated on the Cutting Edge Radio Network and is broadcast around the world. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are listening live to another episode of Relics Radio, coming to you from Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee on a rainy and cold night here in the South. I tell you what. But I am your host, Digging with Seven.
And I'm your co-host, Tennessee Jeff. Buddy, it is cold. It's turned cold.
I know it. A little bit of wind blowing, and but it's not as cold as it's going to get either, because it's going to get, they're saying 12 or 13 degrees by Tuesday morning, I think.
I don't know if my body will work in that cold of weather.
Diving is out, isn't it?
I believe so. Well, you've done crazier things, so I'm sure you may be still diving. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what I did today. I went to our local wellness center here and signed up for it, and it's got a pool. And I told them, I said, now I want to bring my scuba gear and everything. And they said, well, that's okay. We've never had a request like that, but that's what the pool's for. So
there you go.
Brandon said, I'm not going. It embarrassed me to death,
Yeah, I'm sure it is. My neighbor, he was talking earlier today, and his son's in the swimming team here in my local town. And, of course, he's like, yeah, he's out there swimming today. And I was like, I hope he's not No Hickory Lake swimming. And, of course, no, they're at the Civic Center where you took some of your diving tests. So
yeah, and that's what they had going on there this afternoon, too, was our swim team and everything. You know what, Jeff? Anniversary show here tonight. This is season 3, episode 1. It's kind of like the Curse of Oak Island. Everybody's wondering, are they going to have another season? Yeah, we're going to have another season, starting off again. And I was looking. This is show number 108. They've just all flown by, I tell you. Of course,
they really have.
That kind of happens whenever you get old. I mean, time just it really flies. But you and Mark Hoover just got back from a dig. Won't we talk about that for a little bit before we bring our guest on?
We sure did. We went to Warrington, Georgia, digging Georgia Live. Scott Hanson, Michael Reese, Rick Ward, Ashley Hudson, and, of course, Scott's wife and daughter. They all put it on, and I mean, it was a great hunt, and I had a wonderful time down there. And the home site that we hunted right next to was built in 1780s. And, of course, you had seeded relics and you had natural relics. And I ended up finding it was a naval button that had a drooped wing eagle sitting on top of an anchor. It was a 2-piece button. And it criteria 1830s, 1840s. And I'll be darned if I didn't walk off and leave it in the hotel room where I was cleaning it, and I laid it down on the counter, and I've tried to contact them 4 or 5 times, and then, of course, I'm pretty sure I've lost that button. And found a few Civil War buttons and, a few Civil War bullets and stuff. But I want to give a big thanks to Scott, Michael Reese, Rick Ward, and Ashley Hudson, and Scott's wife and daughter, and the landowner and his wife, Alex Sanders, and his wife, Amanda. The hospitality was great. I mean, he let me and half redneck Mark Hoover come back Sunday morning before we left, and he showed us where one of the old cabins were, and we hunted it for a little bit, and we had a great time though, and won a lot of prizes. And then of course one of the natural relics that was found by Keith Arrington was a 1878 $1 gold coin. And that is a very, very good coin. And it was only 3,000 minutes.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, it's not just a gold coin. He found a princess head gold coin. And only 3,000 of them minted. That's worth a little bit of moolah, I tell you, even in a dug condition. But if you're going to if you're going to wait and hold out like I've done about finding a gold coin, you might as well wait and go ahead and pull a princess head out if you can, you know. So I guess that's what I'm waiting on, is to find that.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm waiting on too. So.
Yeah. And guys, later in the show tonight, if you watched any of the promo stuff on Relics Radio Facebook page, then you know that we're going to give away one of the Transcontinental Railroad light boxes made by Gary Penta. And you know Gary Penta from mydetecting.com. Don't put any numbers in right now. We will disqualify you if you go to throwing in a bunch of numbers in the chat. But we'll let you know. It's probably going to be, I don't know.
There you go. I knew Dennis was going to do it.
Yeah. And Mark. Those are two guys right. Okay, those two guys are out. Both of them are. But anyway, at 8:45. After the third commercial here on the show, we'll let you know what we want you to do, and be sure that you follow all of the instructions. Don't jump out there and try to do something until we tell you to do something. And then that's not all, is it, Jeff? We're going to come back at 9:10, and you're going to have to do something else, and then somebody is going to walk out of here tonight with one of the greatest. I mean, Gary Penta is just unbelievable. The artistic ability that he has and the detail that he has on everything that he makes. I mean, it's phenomenal. I don't know how the man does it.
I have no idea. I mean, anything that he's done is fantastic. I mean, beautiful work. The little miniature metal detectors he makes, I mean, are fantastic. And actually, he'd found at the Digging Georgia live hunt, he'd found a old stove door. And I don't know if y'all have been to his page or not and seen that door, but I mean, he has redone that door and painted the letters on it. Now, it's not all there, but I mean, what is there is unbelievable.
Yeah,
the way he redone it. So
yeah, quite an artist. He really is. And I don't know if we said anything or not, but I got a good email this week that Daniel prayed, and his father listened to the show and had some good compliments for me and you, Jeff, that he said that we have got them all fired up about metal detecting again, and they've got started back up and just wanted to let us know how much they appreciated the show and the spark that we gave them to do that. That's what it's all about. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is just help people along and help the hobby in any little way that we can.
That's right. That's all we're trying to do, and then having a fun time doing it.
Yeah. So. But the start of season 3, how'd we start all this mess out, and what are we going to do tonight, Jeff?
Well, we started off season 1 with a good friend of ours, which he's going to be the guest tonight. So we're going to start off season 3 with Henry Moore, the one and only Mr. Keebler. How's it going, Keebs?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How about you guys?
Doing good.
Other than cold, right. But I don't guess we can say anything about the cold. You living up in New Hampshire.
Right. 9 months of winter, 4 months of bad sledding. Well, hey, I gotta say right off the bat, you guys are nothing but a first-class act. I'm telling you, you fly me down here, the limo comes and picks me up, we swing by White Castle, and we pick up a bag of sliders and brings me right here to the studio. I'm telling you guys.
Only the best for you, Keebs.
Oh, yeah. Did you get them cookies that I sent?
I sure did. Boy, oh boy. Put on about 3 pounds.
Yeah, I figured 7 to eat them all before you got them, so I'm glad you got some.
The first year we tried to send the cookies through the microphone, but they never got there. You know, I eat them before they ever got there. We're so glad, Keebs, that you came back. We had you in November of 2017. You were our first guest. Whenever me and Jeff talked about doing a podcast, I told him, I said, I would like for my good friend Keebs to be our first guest. And I called you.
I'm truly honored. Truly honored. Then the second time, and now the third time. It's such an honor.
Yep.
Well, and you know, Seven, the first time, he was the only one crazy enough to be our guest on the show.
He thinks it's an honor, but really, you know,
we were just testing the waters, weren't we?
That's all we were doing. And I tell you what, having a shaky time doing it too. Just trying to test the waters and everything. And poor old Keebs, he thought it was an honor. Nobody else would do it, you know. You were like... we talk about the NFL draft and stuff like that. You know, they're drafted in the 3rd round, drafted in the 5th round. I think it was like 230 rounds we got down to you.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just joking. Keebs, you were right on the top of our list, and because you're the real deal. I mean, you are...
oh, thank you.
Everybody loves you. You are a barrel of laughs. And you've got so many talents. I mean, you spread yourself out all the way from metal detecting to music and everything in between.
Yeah, everything I love. You know, at my age, you got to go for it. Just anything and everything. Those bucket lists do not apply. Just do it.
That's right. You know, Keebs, whenever our kids were little, we used to go to the lake, and, of course, we didn't have a houseboat or anything, couldn't afford it back then, but we'd just take a tent and go camp out on the island, and there were a couple of little pine trees there. They were about the size of a pencil, and the waves that were coming in had dislodged everything, just a few little roots just hanging on. And I told my wife, I said, those 2 little trees right there on the shoreline are not going to make it. So I just took a paper bag and I pulled them up and pulled the dirt up, just left the roots in what dirt that they had, and packed some more dirt around them and come put them in my yard. And that was probably 25 years ago. And one of those got the blight that all of the pines got around here, but one of them survived. And I can hardly reach around the trunk of that tree now. And my brother-in-law, he was saying, I remember when you brought those in, they were so small, and you kept miracle growing them and everything, you know. And I said, yeah. And I was looking at it, and I said, you know what I'm thinking about doing? I'm thinking about cutting that tree down, having it sawed up, and making my coffin out of it. And my wife wheeled around and looked at me and didn't say nothing for a minute, and then she said, well, you better hurry. not the kind of thing that you want your wife to say to you.
Yeah, that's not, well, if my wife would say that, I'd believe her, actually, but no, you don't want your wife saying that, so. But yeah, it turned out to be a pretty good sized pine tree.
Oh yeah, it is. It's it really is. Hey, Jeff, we've got a couple of minutes before our first commercial, so go ahead and get us started here tonight.
Yeah, Keebs. Of course, it's been a year since we've talked to you. So, what has been some of your good finds this year?
Some of my good finds. Well, of course, I'm constantly making new friends, so you can't beat that right there. So new friends, those are great finds.
Yep.
Let's see. Well, right off the beginning of the year, digging year for us, because the ground's frozen. Probably like the first 3 hunts, boom, large scents. It was like bang, bang, bang. I was like, this is amazing. And then I gradually worked into Indian head, pennies, and Wheaties. But, gosh, well, I did, I can't bring that up because it hasn't been aired yet in the Salt Digger videos.
Yeah.
It's coming up in 2 weeks, though.
Well, something special then coming up here in a couple of weeks. Well, I tell you, we just kind of sprung that on you, I guess. But while you think about that, let us run this commercial, and we'll be right back. T-shirts are a perfect way to get your brand recognized, whether you're talking about a business, a club, a sports team, your YouTube channel, or whatever. But you may have asked, where can I get quality, affordable shirts on demand? Well, I'm glad you asked. Relics Radio uses Detectors.com for all of our T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and hoodies. That's DETECTEES.com. Ken and Mark Guthrie make quality shirts that last, they ship quick, and best of all, they're affordable. So if you need customized apparel, then go to Detectors.com and be sure and tell them that Relics Radio sent you. And I'll tell you what, we got some good people that help support this show. I want you to look at the number of people that put the Detectors place there in the chat for us.
I seen that, and of course they was asking where Half Redneck was, and I told he was off tonight. So his grandson had a karate thing to go to, so he may be in the chat sometime tonight.
Yeah, and he supports him and Solo in just about everything. But, guys, before I turn the thing back over to Jeff and Keebs, y'all be sure and check out Detectors.com. They've got those Relics Radio hoodies, and I've been wearing mine, and I'll tell you what, you're going in style whenever you wear one of those. So check out Detectors.com and be sure and tell them that Relics Radio sent you. Go ahead, Jeff.
So, Keebs, go on with some of your good finds this year.
Well, let's see. In years past, I'd been finding a weapon a year in the ground, and nothing this year. I was shocked.
Oh man!
Yeah, I was finding a gun a year, a real gun, not like a cap gun, but yeah. So I guess maybe a Connecticut copper has been my best so far that I can tell you about.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, the year's not over with. I mean, of course, I know you, the physical year's not over with, so you still like to January. Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully between now and then, well, if the ground's not so froze that you can't dig, so it won't be long. Yeah.
I tell you what, Keebs, you guys live in such a history-rich area of the country. And there's so much of that land that is yet undeveloped, isn't there?
Absolutely. In fact, if the United States were to be developed from west to east, opposed to east to west, New England still wouldn't have anybody here. Yeah. It's just that bad. And so these farmers were on plateaus on every hillside here, and there's no roads there now. So, yeah, it's still undeveloped and unhunted.
Man, we need to move up that way during the summer.
Yeah, during the summer. But
most definitely.
Yeah. Can you imagine, Jeff, just being able to go out and find history like that from the 1700s just everywhere? We have to really work hard to find a colonial site, and we really do. They just cherry pick them. They go from one to the other to the other to the other, and then they'll come back. Me and Jeff find a colonial site. We hunt it for 5 years, and then we're still trying to pull something out.
That's right. But
it's very possible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, nothing's ever hunted out. And then, of course, I'm sure a lot of your sites that's close to the road or whatever you would say, it's been pounded quite a bit. And but you can still go there to this day and find stuff. And of course, I didn't realize this until the pound of ground hunt. Of course, upstate New York. Of course, you always think of New York. I mean, you think of the city. But, man, they've got some wilderness in New York. And the Northeast, you think it's just big cities everywhere. No, that's not the case. It's got a lot of wilderness for you guys that doesn't live up there. And I was go ahead.
It was populated.
Oh yeah, back in the day it was populated.
Yeah.
And same thing with Georgia. Went down there, and I mean, you could walk several miles without seeing a house. Now, here in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, you can walk 500 yards, and you can't go without seeing a house. So, who got the shaft on this deal?
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know, somebody keeps trying to call in. I think it's the same number that keeps trying to call in each week. I think it's probably just a robocall or something other. But, guys, we won't open the phone lines up until after our syndication, which will be probably 8:57, something like that. Hey, Keebs, what y'all have still got a lot of old maps where you can map these places out, right?
Oh, correct. Yes.
See, that's one thing we don't have is...
Oh, really?
No, we don't. Of course, our courthouse was burnt here. We don't even have any of the old tax maps and things here. What's the oldest map that we've got down there in Tennessee, Jeff?
1878, a tax map. And then, of course, the rest of the maps, they go back to the late 1700s, but they don't have any... homes located on it. It just shows the river and stuff like that. But 1878, and of course we've got one for Sumner County. Let's see, Rutherford County, and then of course there's a few other counties around here. But like here in the South, a lot of our courthouses was burned down during the Civil War, or probably some politician got mad at the other politician and then burnt the courthouse
Surely
down.
Not. A politician got mad at another politician.
But yeah, our maps, and I found these at the Library of Congress. I was doing research, and of course they have a lot of old maps, but some of our maps didn't make it to the Library of Congress before they were burned up in fires, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those maps were also in all the schoolhouses. It was a pull down. It would show the whole county that they lived in, and I see those a lot on display in town halls and such.
I've never heard that.
Oh yeah. Check that out. If you have places that are showing the old schoolhouses that are still standing, or find out where those maps went to. Somebody put them somewhere.
So they would use those, I guess, to teach geography and also to where people would have an understanding of the area in which they lived, wouldn't they?
Correct. It was usually by county, and that's what I found up here at least. I go to the next county, and those maps are of just that county.
Well, you ought to be able to find those at old yard sales and stuff like that. Where do you come across those kind of maps?
Well, like I said, they're usually on display behind glass, fully opened, on walls in the town halls.
Okay.
And it shows all the old roads, more importantly, the names and the places of the homesteads.
Huh.
Man. Wouldn't it check that out?
I would love to have something like that and then get on Maprika. Goodness gracious. Yeah. I'm 150-year-old, but I believe I could scratch out another 75 years if I had that kind of access to old home sites and things. I would give I'd give my big toe for an old map of 1798 that showed the houses and everything in detail here in Kentucky. I absolutely would.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd give my little finger. I mean, that's...
yeah.
There we are. There we are, toeless and fingerless, but we're out there swinging a metal detector. Go ahead, Keebs.
The most miraculous thing is that the name is there. So you can go, oh, gosh, this was Old Man Bartlett or whatever, and you can almost follow the history from there.
That's something that I would love to have as well. Now we've got a little bit of that. Jeff hunts a place that we know the family and everything, and they've got a lot of family history. But that's an exception to the rule. And I found a silver thimble that's in this last week's video, and I didn't know it until I got in. It's got 2 sets of initials in it, and it was probably a wedding thimble, which that was kind of the custom back then, that the man and woman, or the man would give the woman the thimble, she'd sew all the clothes, and then that they would need to set up housekeeping, and then they would then cut the top of the thimble off to show that she had completed her preparation and it was time to get married. But then sometimes I have since learned that men just gave those as gifts to their ladies, and they would have their initials inside. I'd give anything in the world to know what those 2 people's names were. I know the house, and if I just had a map, a tax map that showed who lived there in probably the mid-1800s, if I just knew who was there, and possibly then you might get a picture of those people, and that would really complete that relic.
It sure would.
A generation or 2 down the road, it was probably the same people in that area, the same family, that is. You could almost make a pretty good guess of the last name, at least.
Yeah, if you go back a few years now, people, they buy up land and they'll build a house, and there's a brand new house there, and it's a doctor that has the house. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, the communities used to, probably up until the 1950s or 60s, if there was a family there, that family had a long history at that place.
Exactly.
Yeah. So maybe I just need to go and talk to some old timers and what have you, and see who lived in that area. It might get me. I've got the initials, and so the last name of either the man or woman would have started with an M and a D. So that kind of helps me a little bit.
Yeah. Seven, I don't think that would work, buddy, because you're the oldest man in town. So if you don't know them, I don't know.
If I don't know them, they're unknown, I guess. Then,
yeah.
The old timers are a wealth of information.
They are, yeah. I went.
My favorite question to them was, where was Lover's Leap when you were young? Where would you take the car or the horse and buggy?
Right.
And you go out to those places, and it's a wealth. You find tons of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and back in the day, they had small orchards and what have you that the townspeople would meet at. They'd have their family reunions and stuff like that in those kind of places. And it reminds me of a story that somebody told me here a week or 2 ago. Said that there was an old man dying, and he got his son, and he said, in this certain place, and he told him the crossroads and everything. He said, I've got a whole jar of gold coins that I buried there next to a tree, and you need to make sure that you go there and you get that. And so he his dad passed away, and so he made his way to the directions that he gave him. And he said when he got there, it was an orchard that had about 50 or 60 trees in the place.
Oh, man.
He never did find it. And Ohio Relic Hunter said Lover's Leap after 25 years turns into Divorce Dive. I tell you what, old Bill is witty. He's got something that comes up all the time, I'll tell you. And right next to Alimony Alley, Finding America says as well. What are you swinging now as a detector, Keebs?
The same thing I've been for the past 5 years, the Deus.
The Deus. You love it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had a gazillion others, and it's the one for me. It just fits me. I understand it 100%, and it's very, very light. Probably the lightest thing out there.
It really is. And see, I'm starting to use the ORX, and I mean, I really like that machine. It's killer in iron sights, and of course, that's mainly what we hunt now. And I mean, it's done very well for me since I've had it, and I haven't had it long yet. But I mean, it's a love the weight of the machine. I mean, you don't even really know you're swinging it. and you're just listening to it.
Yeah. What's your favorite coil to use on that machine? Like if you're hunting, like you guys hunt, you hunt like we do. You're at the old house sites that are just full of square nails and everything. So what coil do you choose?
Well, I only have the small and the medium, which is an 6. 6 and 11, I think. Yeah, 6 and 11.
Okay.
The 11, I do a lot of orbiting, so I use the 11 mainly. If I'm wanting to get into the bed of nails, I'll go to the smaller coil. But I really found I really don't have to. Even with the bigger coil, I can find with a single swing, I can still pinpoint 2 good targets within that swing.
Because of the speed of that machine.
Yes, the recovery is like, wow.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And say I'm looking at getting the 11-inch X35, and right now I'm using the HF, the high frequency from I think mine's 14 to 80 kilohertz, and of course I run mine mainly in 80 kilohertz around home sites. But I mean, I was wanting to get some of them lower frequencies, but I mean, I really love the machine. I mean, and
I always right down there at round 8.
Yeah. Hey guys, we need to run another commercial, and I'm going to talk some more about metal detectors when we come back. But let's run this, and we'll see you in about a minute and a half. We are very excited to announce that Calico Metal Detectors is now the major sponsor of Relics Radio. Calico Metal Detectors has provided customers with the best metal detectors and accessories for over 60 years. And they offer the largest selection and best deals on metal detectors guaranteed. Calico Metal Detectors features only the very best of treasure hunting equipment that'll help you find coins, rings, jewelry, and relics both on land and underwater. From gold pans to metal detectors, they carry the hottest selling products on the market. And Calico is just a phone call away, before, during, or after the purchase. You can call them at 855-246-2586 or visit the website at www.calicodetectors.com. And by the way, guys, Relics Radio is an affiliate with Calico. And if you're looking to upgrade your machine or get a brand new machine, I tell you what, just shoot me an email to diggingwith7, all one word, @gmail.com. And we will hook you up and try to get you going there with a whatever you need, And I see that Gary Penta is in the chat tonight. Remember, guys, we're going to be giving away this number 119 Transcontinental Railroad light box that he made, an amazing piece of art. And we will get into the first part of that giveaway at 8:45, probably a little bit after that. After we run the commercial, we will do that. I know, Jeff, that you've got some more questions on the dais. One question that I've got: what kind of what program are you running on that XP dais?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, hold a minute, Keebs. You're giving away a car in the chat, or you're paying for that car, right?
No, everybody gets a car.
Everybody.
I'm like Oprah Winfrey. I'm like Oprah. And you get a car, and you get a car.
What'd you do? Raid Walmart and get all the Hot Wheels?
Yeah. Oh boy.
All right. Go ahead, Keys.
Scared me to death.
What was the question?
What program are you running on your XP dais?
Almost exclusively Relics, being that it's. But I use the factory setting, but I tweak it, to the ground, what the ground tells me to do. So it's a very low frequency, which means I'm extremely low depth. A foot is no big deal.
Yeah.
So what kilohertz are you running?
That runs in at 8.
8 kilohertz, okay.
Yeah.
I think that I would like an XP Deus because I like tinkering with things. I like programming and stuff like that. And I know that the XP Deus is, there's more tinkering to do with it than there is with the ORX. It's kind of like the CTX and the Equinox. The Equinox is just kind of a smaller version of a CTX, although it does have the multi-frequencies and everything. But I think I'd like to have a XP, Deus to work with. XP, if you're listening, just send that to P.O. Box 81, Tompkinsville, Kentucky, and I'll give it a shot and do some videos and stuff. Give you guys some, some advertisement and everything. But
well, they are a French company, so you're going to have to ask them in French. Est-ce que le mot c'est expedé, so oui? That'll get you one.
Well, only thing that I learned in French was oui, oui, and then when I went to the number 2, I got kicked out of class.
Uh-oh.
I knew the first one, but I didn't know how exactly to get the second one out. But yeah, I mean, it is a very light machine, and that's a problem that us older people have. And Jeff has some, he has some physical problems as well, and that's kind of changed your mind on a detector, hadn't it, Jeff?
It really has. Of course, I could swing the AT Pro. I mean, of course, my shoulders and stuff, they start giving it out on me. And then, of course, it even gets heavy. And then but then I swapped to the ORX, the XP ORX. And, I mean, like I said, you don't even know it's there, really. And the head, everything wireless, I mean, I love the wireless. You can't go wrong there.
And before I had an XP, I had an Explorer, E-Track, that is.
An E-Track.
Yeah. What a difference.
From a brick old block to a feather.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've still got an E-Track. Fellas got it borrowed. And, I've got 3 different coils with it. I've got the stock coil, and then I've got what was like maybe a 5x8, like the AT Pro, which is my favorite coil for the AT Pro, is that little 5x8. But then I've also got I've got a puck with it. But man, you're talking about some weight there.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
and battery. That battery is as big as my forearm.
It really is. And of course, I thought I'd be brave when this was a few years back, and I bought one of the biggest coils that they made for the GPX MindLab GPX, and I used it about 4 times. And then I'm still trying to sell it, but I mean it's a deep coil. Don't get me wrong. I mean it'll pick up. A Coke can at 5 feet, but I mean if you can't swing it, you don't need it.
It does come in handy underwater though, because it weighs nothing. And
oh yeah.
But you can't use it underwater. That's the thing about the GPX.
Yeah, the coil I've got, it's waterproof, but the box of the GPX, it's not waterproof.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it's still a great machine. It's the deepest machine I have, and then of course, I've been trying to plan on how to put wheels on the coil where I could just slide it across the ground, but Seven and I hadn't come up with it yet. Bill Hayes put trash can lid. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a trash can lid.
That's exactly what it is, and that's what Matt Howe uses at DIV, and he doesn't even use the little harness thing. I mean, it's he's. Of course, you got an arm that looks like Popeye, whichever arm that you're swinging with, and then the other one looks like a noodle, because it pulls all of the nutrients and everything out of your body to keep that one arm going. Hey, Keebs, how do you approach a site? Say you take one of those old maps and you find a site, and you guys are going to start working it. What kind of procedure do you go through to start a site? And then how will you develop that?
Well, if you're walking on the old Class 6 road, or the road isn't even a Class 6 anymore, it's just a kind of like a cart path through the woods. If that even, you got to find out where the road is. And that puts you in relationship to where the house sat and the barn sat, where the well is, where the latrine was. You got to know, and believe me, the ground keeps its memory. So you can look at a site and you can determine, well, there's the front of the house, it's facing south, they normally were, and then the barn was over there, here's the well. So with all those figured out, you know exactly where the popular spots were in that vicinity, from the kitchen door to the well, a very, very big traffic area. The house to the barn, another big traffic area. To the outhouse, the biggest traffic area.
and sometimes the fastest too.
Exactly. All the way to the outhouses areas, you can find buttons. So they were ripping them off, going,
That's
oh,
right.
gosh, oh, gosh.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Now, what are you
undressed till you get there.
Yeah, I've been there before.
And another good place to look is behind the outhouse. If you had 5 sons, the first one there was lucky enough to sit down. A couple of the others, they're like, I'm going behind the house, behind the outhouse.
Hadn't thought about that.
Another good place to look. Yeah.
Now, what are you looking at, though, in the terrain to show you those things? You've already told us that most of the time the front of the house faced south, and I guess that was to get the warmth, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you just gotta get into the moment of the history of it. Kind of like put yourself there. Just stand on, imagine you just walked out the front door. What do you see? Over to the right, there's a little area that's kind of flat. Gosh, that was the house garden. Another good place to look. In the ground, a generation or two of walking from the house to the well, there's a divot in the ground, a true divot.
Yeah.
You'll always find some type of place where the younger folk would mount a horse. Sometimes they put a flat stone out there, 1.5 foot high. All those things. The closest stone walls that encapsulated the house site. It just speaks to you. After doing it time and time again, it's there. It's in front of your eyes. Where other people would just walk up to it and might not have a clue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I run up on a well one time, and back in the day, mid to early 1800s, when the women washed clothes, did they set up next to like the water source to where they could get water and then scrub the clothes?
It depended. Well,
I hunted a well. A well. And I found tons of buttons around this well. And, of course, they was like in pretty much one general area. And then that's what I kind of pieced together in my mind, in my CSI mind, that I was trying to figure out there what had happened.
Well, a lot of the guys coming in off the field, again, a large family, 6 or 7 people out in the field, they take their shirts off right there, wash up a little bit at the well, drink, then go in and have supper. So, laying that shirt down or jacket right there at the well.
Okay.
And, a lot of things depend on how well off they were, how rich they were. Sometimes the woman was able to do the laundry in the house because they had a basin built in. If they didn't, they had a tub outside. But not necessarily by the well. The well was always sacred. They tried to keep things like the lye soap or whatever away from the well. You didn't want to pollute your drinking water. So they'd be like on the back porch area, and then that's where the clothesline would be too, maybe strung between the house and the well area.
So you're looking for the clothesline probably on the north side of the house?
Not necessarily. It needs the sun. So more than likely a western side.
Yeah.
And then again, it all depends on how much their vanity was. Was their clothesline right up front for everybody to see, or was it tucked out back so nobody could see?
Yeah.
Many things to take into consideration.
And the reason I want to pick your brain and find out as much as we can about this is because we locate wells, we locate springs, and I'm like Jeff. I've got a spring that I have worked for about 5 years, and right above this spring there's a high knoll right there, and right up the hill from the spring on that knoll, I bet you I found 125 flat buttons, just a concentration of them. And I came to the same CSI conclusion that Jeff did. They've been washing clothes right here, But I also know that you want to keep the water as clean as you can. Of course, if you've got a spring, you're constantly refreshing that water. It's always new,
Yeah.
So I guess that there would be a difference. And you may not.
If you're just
Go ahead.
If you're just finding buttons, more than likely they were washing. The clotheslines underneath them will always produce coins that fall out of vest pockets, pants pockets that are left in during the laundry.
Yeah. In your experience, where was the outhouse located? If you've got a north, south, east, west direction, distance, anything, any clues that you can give any of our listeners on the outhouse, because that is a high traffic area. There's no doubt about it, between the outhouse and the house. Yeah. So
it depended on the orientation of where the barn was. And it's not usually on higher ground than the well. It's usually on lower. That's what they really didn't know about groundwater, how it flows and everything. So they tried to get a little bit lower than what the well would be, and 75 feet, 100 feet away from the back of the house.
You taking notes, Jeff?
Oh yeah, I'm taking notes. Yeah, I'm writing them down as we're speaking.
And that's only if the house was separate from the barn. A lot of times, if you're there for a generation or two, they're building onto the barn. They're actually attaching to the house. So going from the house to the barn, along there, they would have not indoor plumbing, but indoor outhouses that they would scoop out from the back.
Yeah. One quick note before we go, and we've got to run a commercial and get into this contest and everything real quick. But in my experiences, and we had outhouses, but in my experience, we would always put the outhouse on the north side of the house, because you'd always have a southern breeze, and you didn't want it blowing past the outhouse to the house. And then in the wintertime, you'd have a northerly breeze, but of course the temperature was colder, and so the smell wasn't as bad. But it's just all things to kind of figure out and try to learn, so that you get the most out of a site. But let us run this commercial, and we'll be right back. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And by the way, guys, I am the producer of the American Digger magazine's Relic Roundup every Monday night with Butch Holcomb and Jeff Lubert. We're on every Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern right here on Spreaker. So come over and check us out. Jeff Rowe, unleash this contest.
Well, we're fixing to have a great contest, as everybody knows at the beginning of the show in the Relics Radio group. Gary Penta is giving away, he calls it number 19 diorama transcontinental. I'll say that again. Transcontinental Railroad light box. Yep. And of course, it's a beautiful setup. And the way we're going to do this, okay, everybody just put in one number. You could just put in one number, and that's all you can do for right now. And then later, and right at the almost to the end of the show, we'll say something else, and then you can go that far. So everybody just put in a number right now. So.
One number. If you put in two numbers, we're going to disqualify you.
That's right, Dennis.
And you know.
Yep. And Dennis, just one.
Yeah. And Dennis is not the only one. I tell you what, they started putting numbers in early this afternoon. Mark Thomas, he's one of the characters too. So one number is all that you can put in. And then after you get those numbers in, then you stop. And at 8 or at 9:10, I'm looking at Central Time. At 9:10, we're going to go into the second phase of this. And Gary Penta's in the chat. He's watching, and so he will tally everything up here in a little bit. We're not going to pick the number. We're not going to pick the winning number. We're going to surprise you on this deal here.
It's a good idea. I mean, it really was.
It is a great idea, and I tell you what, Gary Penta is he's top-notch guy. We didn't ask him to do this. He contacted Jeff today and said that he wanted to do it, and obviously we were head over heels ready for something like this, to let him do this. Go check his site out, mydetecting.com. Look at some of the wonderful things that he has done, some of the artistic works that he has done. But go ahead. We'll get back to Keebs while we're waiting for everybody to put their number in here.
So, Keebs, used to say what machine you were using. You're still using
the XP desk.
XP. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then, of course, the coil that you have now. You say you was using an 11-inch.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the low frequency? Is it? Is it like the X35?
It's whatever you choose it to be in your settings.
Okay, well, I mean, how many kilohertz can you have on that one coil?
Oh, at one time?
No, I'm talking about, does it go from like 1 to 35, or does it go to 1 to...
it goes from 8 to up. 8 to the lowest, I think, or 6 is the lowest? 8 is the lowest.
Okay. So, yeah, I was looking at one of them, and then, of course, I thought about getting it, so... But...
Why do you use 8? Is that just the best frequency to hunt relics?
It's a deep. It goes deeper than all the other frequencies.
Oh, wow!
So 8 goes deeper than all the other.
Yeah.
And it still separates just as good.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's all in your swing.
No.
If you're out there whipping it around like a lasso, you're not going to hear anything.
And you know what? Isn't that the biggest mistake that we see inexperienced metal detectorists? They will pendulum swing. They swing too fast. They walk too fast. And, we've got sites that we've hunted for 5 years. We didn't know it at the time, but all we had to do was just kind of cordon off a little spot and just hunt the fire out of that one little spot, just keep going in circles and not get out of it, and then go to the next one, And but no, we run around the whole site and hunt, and then we come back and run around the whole site again. And where I found that thimble is a spot that I've hunted for 6 years. There's no telling how many times I've gone over that signal. but I just was going so slow with a 6-inch coil on the Equinox. Now, I know the multi-frequency had something to do with that, but also the speed and the altitude that I had that coil going had more to do with it, or as much to do as the multi-frequency, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say that. And of course, everybody knows when you swing a coil, you should. I've wore out several coil covers just swinging it and touching the ground, and then swinging it straight across the ground. And of course, like Lois said, I've hunted with guys that just swing. It comes up 3 foot off of the ground on each swing, and then, of course, that's kind of hard to find something that way. So,
if you're going to swing that way, you save your arm. Just put your coil on the ground and walk straight, because the only thing that when you're swinging pendulum style, the only thing you're getting is what's right in front of you. Just go ahead and put your coil on the ground and just walk real slow, and you know you're going to get the same effect out of it. But I'm like Jeff. I wore out a lot of coil covers, but that's how you find the stuff, is just going so slow and hitting things from every angle that you can.
Oh, yeah, and go places that nobody else is going to go, the thickets.
That's why we go to the thickets. That's right. And, I've said it on my videos, and I say it again on the next one. The reason that I love hunting thickets is for 2 reasons. Number one, it makes you go slow. You can't swing like a wild man in a thicket. You just have to work it around all of the undergrowth and everything. Find those little pockets. But also, that you're probably the only person that's ever metal detected that, because everybody else drove by and said it's too grown up,
Yeah.
But you find stuff. Hey, Keebs.
Oh, yeah, we found some of our better relics in thickets.
Oh, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We sure have.
I also want to go over the rest of my hunting gear.
Yes.
Well, sure.
Well, aside from carrying the old ukulele with me all the time now, I use a White's TRX pinpointer.
How do you like that pinpointer?
Absolutely love it. And I've had, like most everyone else, every time a new model came out, had to have it.
Yeah.
But the White's TRX just does it for me.
Why do you like that pinpointer over, say, a Garrett Carrot or a Mind Lab or any of the others?
It does run deep. If I, for instance, I'll swing over a target, I can pull out that White's TRX, lay it on the ground, and go back and forth and know exactly where it is, and it helps me to determine, that's too hard of a signal. That's a dang. It's not a large scent, even though the numbers are there. It's a dang oxen shoe.
Which we love to find.
We love finding.
You're the king of it, though. Of finding them. And, let me share something, Keebs, that I've seen you do, and I apologize. I tell you, with all the work that I have to do with 2 radio shows and YouTube channel and everything, I just don't get to watch people like I used to. But I've seen you lay your pinpointer whenever you're digging a hole and you're cleaning the hole out trying to find the target. You leave it on and leave it on the ground, and as you pull dirt out, you pull it over the tip of your pinpointer. So if you pull the target out, you know it, don't you? Right.
Yeah. It's just speeds up the process, especially with daylight savings time. You only get a few hours out there in the afternoon now. You pull out a shovelful, dump it on. Shovel, that is, I use the Piranha. And I throw it right onto the pinpointer, and if it starts ringing, there it is.
Yeah. I saw you do that, and I thought, all you had to do was just kind of stop and use common sense. That is brilliant, and I've done that some as well. Hey, let's open up the phone lines. What do you say, Jeff? We're past our syndication.
Anybody's got any question for Keebs or just wants to talk, give us a call.
Yep, 270-495-0315. And Jeff is Johnny on the spot. He done got it in the chat right there.
Woo!
Yeah. Call in and get to talk to the legend, Mr. Keebler here. Hey, Keebs, while we're waiting for a phone call to come in, Tell us how you got hooked up with stealth diggers.
Well, a little over 5 years ago, I was doing yards and such and finding silver every day, and it got boring. And then one day I was looking through YouTube and I was seeing all the everybody. Then I saw Charlie. He had like maybe 5 videos out. And I said, "Oh, this is interesting." So, and then I realized, dang, he lives 10 minutes from me. So I finally got in touch with him and just went from there.
Hey, guys, we got a couple of calls in. The first one, the last 4 digits are 3644. Who have we got?
You've got the hitchhiker here. I called in to say hi to my buddy Keebs.
Oh, well, great.
Oh, hi, Tim.
Hello.
Hey, hello. So for anybody who doesn't know, Tim is the drummer on my channel.
Okay. And a lot of people don't know what channel you're talking about. Go ahead and give them that.
That would be, of course, it's Mr. Keebler, MR, period, capital K, Keebler. And that's a music channel that, pretty much Tim and I have been hooting and hollering for a couple of years now on, and just having a grand old time.
Yeah, and I was surprised I could get through tonight, and I'm glad I did, but I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I was wondering if you could tell me where you see stealth diggers going in the future.
To cellar holes?
Yeah, I understand that, but isn't it... it gets harder all the time. Like you said, eventually you're going to run out of new cellar holes and just be going over the old ones.
Right, which we have been doing, which has been producing.
Right, yeah.
We're gonna have to expand a bit out of Saskatchewan for sure.
Yeah. Does that cross your mind often?
I do it a lot on my own.
Yeah, I know that. I've been there with you.
I'll take off and go, go 40 miles north, and it's like and it's virgin out there.
Right. Yeah, it seems like the... Yeah, go ahead.
You're going to have to send me your mailing address because of the music channel. So people have sent some stuff in for us, so I'm going to have to forward it to you.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Excellent.
Yeah, Mr. Mike Lyman, you know him, right?
Yes, sir.
He sent some copper rounds and such, and stickers.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's good talking to you all guys, and I'll let you continue on your radio show.
Hey, thanks for the call, Tim.
Thanks for the call.
And appreciate your music ability and working with Keebs. And so, guys, go and check that channel out and watch them. We also have Swansea on, another guy from up in the New Hampshire area. What's going on, Swansea?
Yeah.
Hey, Lloyd, how are you?
We're doing great.
How you doing, Swans?
Doing very well. Hey, Henry, I know you as Henry more so than I know you as Keebler. I wanted to ask you.
I know you more as Brandon.
Yeah, exactly, buddy. I want to ask you a couple of questions. First one,
Sure.
Do you remember where you and I first met metal detecting?
Oh gosh, would that have been? Well, we didn't get boned together. Let's see.
It was at one of the bones, correct?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to give you a hint. The chicken blinders.
Oh yeah. That big farm field, Sawyer's.
That huge one where everybody was finding all these little pins with little blinders, trying to figure out what the hell those things were.
Yeah.
What were they? Little pins?
Yeah, well, there were. I guess Henry can probably explain it because he had to tell me what they were. They were a chicken blinder that they put on the chicken so that way, if the chicken saw blood, they wouldn't attack each other. correct, Henry?
Yeah. Some people call them beak protectors, but it was for the problem chickens that would always be pecking on other chickens. So they,
right.
It was kind of like lip piercings that the kids do today.
Yeah, but, he's 100% accurate. It was on a farm field up in, I think it was in Jaffrey that year.
Yeah, and what that was a hayfield / cow farm. The
Correct.
next farm over was a chicken farm, and he used to gladly spread all that chicken manure every spring to every cow farmer hayfield in the whole vicinity. So those things are everywhere because of that, because he had thousands of chickens. Still does.
And every time you dug one of those, you swore it was a dime or a silver coin.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it just rang up beauty.
You know, I don't think we ever had to blind our chickens down here. I don't know. We just eat them, so we didn't have to blind them.
I blindfolded one time to cut his head off because I learned there's no way you can turn a chicken that he ain't looking at you.
Their head's on a swivel at that point, Lloyd.
I tell you what, it's amazing. I mean, you can't turn his head to where he's not looking at you, and I just couldn't cut his head off. I finally blindfolded myself and cut half his head off, pull the blindfold off, run around the yard saying, I'm sorry. He running, that head flopping on the back,
Oh, boy.
Yeah, nobody will sleep tonight with that image in their mind.
Well, here's one that I top that. When I was in the service going through Ranger School, they would demonstrate how to field dress a chicken without anything. They would just grab the head and spin it around a few times, and they would just literally bite the neck. And and then you would just split them.
My uncle, I was young, probably 8 years old, and then my uncle had me to do that to a chicken, and then of course it took me a few turns, but I finally got it, and we had chicken and dumplings that night, so it ended up working out.
Oh, that's right, Becky. Lost in the Woods, Misery.
Yeah.
I'm talking to people in the chat.
Yeah, Becky's talking about Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Yeah, that's where Mets was years ago.
Yeah. Brandon, I guess y'all...
So the second question...
Go ahead.
I had one more question for Henry. Okay. Henry, have you ever noticed that when you finally find the privy, you normally find more floral plants, too? You find the lilacs, you find the daffodils and stuff like that, which is how I find cellar holes up here in New Hampshire. I know we're not very far apart. But you find these floral plants that cover that scent, and normally they're downwind or upwind from the privies. You never will find one on the northeastern side of the house because the way the wind was blowing, you didn't want the privy in that spot. They always put them kind of to the southwest corner normally, and they would cover it with floral plants just to make sure, and then a lot of grapevine.
Yeah. And other than that, you'd find flowers that had gone wild that were planted like in the front yard too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, make sure you cover up that little bit of smell that could have been coming. But like you said about the privy and the wells, they were tearing their clothes off to get there. You find a lot of the buttons, but if you can find that clothesline spot, that's where the King George coppers were coming out and the reals and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, we need to look for clotheslines, Seven.
Yeah, I know.
And you guys, for people that in the chat that doesn't really know what a cellar hole is, can you explain what that is?
Sure. It's the remnants of where a house once sat. They would take and they would dig, if they could, depending on where they were. Sometimes they were up against ledge. But they would dig a hole. They would line that hole with rocks. Sometimes you'll come across them, they'll still be very square. A lot of times, they have caved in. And that house sat on top of that. You'd see your chimney stack, be it a center or a side, and that's a cellar hole. And very few times will you find things inside the cellar hole. It's usually outside.
Have you guys ever just dug at a cellar hole? I'm sure you have, and then just see if you could find old bottles that what was in the cellars.
You can attempt that, but you're going to find a lot of iron remnants. The problem with digging inside the cellar hole is when, they used a lot of wood back then too. It's so iron overloaded. Like Henry could tell you, you might get lucky. You might find something in the drop of the actual chimney drop or something like that, where they may have hid something in the chimney, but 90% of the time it's so overloaded with iron that most machines can't separate that kind of target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think you were the one, Swansea, that one time told us that there would always be a big tree in the yard, and they would stockpile all of their old broken iron objects around that tree to repurpose them for something else. Am I right about that?
You're correct, Loy. I call it the iron tree, and I'm sure Henry's come across this. You get around the base of a giant tree somewhere in the vicinity of the home site, and then all of a sudden you've got forks, spoons, sardine cans, everything lined up around the outside of that tree. Henry, I'm sure you've come across that.
Yep, yes, without a doubt. That, and if there was ever a crevasse fairly nearby or just over the stone wall is another one. But the trees, they would just lean things up and forget them.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a disposable society like it is today. You would have to reuse things because even stuff that got broken, you might be able to use a forge or something and repurpose it into something that would be useful somewhere down the road.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. But Henry, it was good talking to you, buddy. I'll let you guys carry on with the show, but I just want to give you a shout out. It was good talking to you again. It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call, Swansea, and all the support that you give us on the show. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Swans.
Yeah, stay tuned because somebody's fixing to win something. And Michael Boyles is calling in, and then we're going to get to the rest of this contest. I think I got you in there now, Michael, have I?
Yeah, you got me here.
Okay. You got a question?
Yeah, also to go along with the topic that you guys were talking about with the large tree.
Yeah.
You got to remember back then there's no AC in houses, so they would always keep that one large tree for that nice shaded area, so when it's hot and during the summer months, they can go out, sit down, and eat actually in a cool spot.
And that's why they had the summer kitchens, too, which were most of the time separate from the house. Me and Jeff have got a house that we hunt at the how far would you say that summer kitchen is from the house, Jeff? 50 yards?
Yeah, about 50 yards. And then, of course, I believe it's about 50 yards.
Yeah, and then that's keeping the heat out of the house. But you're right. I mean, they didn't have air conditioners, and so you're trying to do what you can, there.
Yep. So, Keebs, I just also wanted to call in and say Happy Veterans Day to you.
Oh, yes, that's coming up Monday, and do I give it to you as well?
You know you do.
Okay.
Yeah, thank both of you guys for your service. I think that's how Keebs got into metal detecting, was running looking for landmines in the Army. Yeah. They didn't know that they had created a monster, an orbiting monster.
Well, at least you're not looking for mines now. So
yes. What a relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd rather find a copper than you had a mine. So
yeah.
Hey, Michael, did you have another question or comment that you wanted to make?
No, that was it, and just wanted to wish Keebs a happy Veterans Day.
Okay, And to you as well, and thanks for the call. Thanks for your support of the show as well. Okay, guys, I'll tell you what let's do. Here's the deal. What you need to do is go back through the chat now and look at the numbers that are put there and the name that is next to those numbers. And you pick and you vote for who you think ought to get this number 119 Transcontinental Railroad light box from Gary Penta. Now, isn't that a twist? So you go in and you look at those numbers and put the number. Now, don't put the name. Put the number that you think that person ought to have this great prize. And start putting those numbers in. Gary's going to monitor those numbers, and he'll tally them up, and whoever gets the most votes, you're the one that's going to walk away with this great prize. How about that, Jeff?
That was a great idea. Gary come up with that idea this morning, and I thought, well, it could be a bad thing or it could be a good thing, but it's turning out it's going to be a good thing. I mean, it's working out great. So the audience votes for who wins it. So
Yep. The audience votes for who wins it. I see a couple of numbers that have come in already, and it's going to take everybody a little bit of time to go back through and to look at those and everything. And then you don't have to do anything because Keebs going to give everybody a car.
Can I pick my car, Keebs?
No, everybody gets a Lexus. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's a watch, ain't it? See, I'm down here in the South. All we know is Ford and Chevrolet and Buick. We don't know any of them foreign names at all.
I did run into a Dodge. I got a Dodge, so.
Yep. Hey, what about Kit? How's Kit doing, Keebs? And you can tell everybody who I'm talking about.
Well, Kit was for the longest time the stealth mobile, and I don't see him in the chat right now. Amphibious Detectors, is he in there?
I seen him a while ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Amphibious Detecting. He is actually doing a series. Oh, yeah, there he is. Oh, snap. A series of bringing Kit back to life. Kit was on his last legs. I always told everybody, I'll let you know when it's bad. It was bad. It was a lot worse than I thought. And call in. Have him call in. And,
Amphibious Detecting. Call in to the show, 270-495-0315. We want to know more about Kit while Gary Penta's crunching all the numbers here. And but I can't imagine that anything bad would happen to Kit. I mean, you went through places that weren't even roads. I mean, even the pioneers wouldn't travel the roads that you guys did.
Yeah.
And hit those big rocks and everything. I mean, you'd be going along, and all of a sudden you'd hear this crunch and keep saying, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But what all happened to Kit?
Well, I bought a Jeep. So I just parked Kit. And believe me, it sat there, a little over a year, I guess, in the state that I left it. It was full of relics, full of coins, and
that's an understatement.
Yeah. It was jammed packed.
So who is Amphibious Detecting?
So I'm Patrick Whitten out of Ballston Lake, New York.
You're who again?
Patrick Whitten out of Ballston Lake, New York.
Okay.
Hello, Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Tell us about Kit and what you're doing to Kit right now.
Well, after I carefully extracted all the treasure out of the I went through and just kind of figured out everything that it needs, and I've been slowly chipping away at it here 1 week at a time till we can go Saskatchewan 2020 or bust.
Yeah. And what's the channel that you're
Amphibious Detecting.
Yeah, okay. Everybody make a note of that and subscribe.
Yeah, and go and check it out, no doubt. That would be an
next week.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting project right there.
Oh, I bet so. So, how's the project coming anyway?
Well, got the control arm. There's a control arm mount that was all rotted out, so kind of patched that back together. Got that back up and going yesterday. So now I got to replace all the brake and fuel lines so I can rebuild the other side, because conveniently they ran those right underneath where you'd want to bolt the other side control arm in. But just ordered some more parts today, so onwards and upwards.
Well, good deal. It sounds like it won't be long now.
Well, I was joking around earlier. I was having a hard time getting it running right, and I didn't realize you had to put oxen chew additive into the gas.
Brilliant.
He was using those oxen shoes to redistribute the weight to the ballast was what he was using the oxen shoes for. Hope you didn't take all of those out.
Listen, I saved everything I found, but I got to put the traction back in for that off-roading you got to do, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. Hey guys, go and check him out. Go and check out Amphibious Detecting. Patrick, we've got another call on, and we'll send everybody over to your channel and watch that, and we certainly do appreciate the call. You didn't have a question that you was going to ask Keebs, did you?
Well, I'll let the other guy call in, and I'm sure I'll talk to Keebs later.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, and have a great night.
Okay.
Yep,
appreciate the call. And we've got Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors on. What's going on tonight, Tim?
Well, hello, buddy.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Hey, Jeff.
Going
It's
good.
going.
How y'all doing? Am I the first call? Am I the first caller? Did I win?
No, you had to you had to put a number in.
I put my number in.
Okay, I thought I saw
put my number in, and only one time. I'm out here. I just put the last piece to my wood stove on. I'm rebuilding my wood stove here, and been listening. I haven't been chatting a lot, just been listening. But I had a question for Keebs there, and thank you for your service, Keebs, and everybody in the chat who's a veteran. Thank y'all very much. I noticed you said you use the White's pinpointer, but yet you're using an XP base. Why are you not using the MI6? Man, I love that thing.
I just had that machine for so long now. When it first came out, I snagged it, and I just know it inside out now. So, I mean, you can definitely teach this old dog new tricks, but when it comes to that machine, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, the MI6 pinpointer is what I'm talking about. And you said the White's pinpointer was what you were using.
Yeah, the TRX. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I don't use it.
For the XP days, that MI6 pinpointer, I've been using it with the ORX. Jeff and I have both been playing with the ORXs. I'm actually leaning towards maybe getting a Deus now that I've played with that ORX, because I want to be able to program a little bit more and do more with it. But I got that MI6 and have it linked with my ORX, and that thing is a super sensitive pinpointer. I find it better than most that I've used so far. It's got the lost pinpointer feature where you can, if you lose it, it's like the Deus. It always is on. It's always flashing that light, even when it's in bed. It's always on. It's got a rechargeable battery, and you can actually call it up on your detector. Wow. And from a pretty good distance, it'll start chiming, and you can go back and find it. You might ought to check that out.
Maybe. I haven't forgotten my pinpointer in about 3 years.
Oh, really?
But yeah, but there's always that chance. I usually stand up.
Did I hear you correctly?
What?
did I hear you correctly that you said you used a White's pinpointer?
Yes, the white TRX.
Okay. So I'm just not familiar with it. I've used the Garrett Carrot and used the MindLab Profine 35 because it's got that iron audio feature. But I went ahead and got that MI6 and started using it with that XP-RX, and that thing is pretty impressive.
It links in. It links in wirelessly too into the headphones too, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And see, I thought about getting that and just seeing how it works. And then, of course, I mean, what I've seen from you and other hunters, that it's a great pinpointer.
Ever since we were on that mountainside down there at the bull farm, Tim, I've had my pinpointer tethered to me ever since that time. Because
and I've carried my gun with me every time I've went after that.
Yeah,
I just make sure I take y'all if I'm going to go to a place like that.
Yeah, don't outrun the bull, just outrun Lloyd. That's what the thing is.
Well, and I know Jeff's got those wild eyes that he attracts the bulls, you know.
Yeah, I told him not to be stupid, but here he come. But he was being stupid.
Yeah, you were.
And if he
singled Jeff out.
He did. If he hadn't have slipped in that mud, I think he would have got me.
Oh, you was a dead man. There ain't no doubt about it.
And y'all were running. Y'all were leaving me. And then I was like, well, and I heard Lois say, "Watch out!" And then I turned around. Here, this big bull is rolling around on the ground. I mean, no, 20 yards from me, and then probably about a 2,000-pound bull. And then, of course, here I just took off running as fast as I could run, and that barbed wire caught me, and I couldn't get over that fence fast enough.
Oh, man.
Hey, Keebs, you should have been there. Here came the bull. They ran Jeff with a 2500, 2700 GPX metal detector, threw it over the fence, and then he's trying to get over the fence. All me and Ron could do was laugh. I mean, we were out of harm's way. Hey, Tim, we've got to get to the rest of this giveaway here, so we appreciate the call.
Yeah, great show, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey,
Thank you, Tim.
We need to get together as soon as we can. I need to talk to Ron. Tell him to give me a call, and let's try to get together and hunt here for too long.
That sounds good. We're doing our club hunt tomorrow, so I'll see him tomorrow. I'll tell him.
Okay. Yeah, tell him to call me. All right. Talk to you later then. And, guys, we need to get to this contest. I tell you what, Gary, if you've got all of that figured out, why don't you, if you want to, now if you don't want to, you can put it in the chat, but why don't you call in to 270-495-0315, and you've been crunching numbers, so give us the good news, either in the chat or on the phone call one.
And you know, guys, there's only 2 of these in the world, and Scott Hanson has one of them, and one of you guys are going to have the other. I mean, that is a beautiful artwork, and from Gary Penta.
Yeah. I hear a mandolin.
I thought your phone was dinging.
No, that's Keebs doing that. But yeah, we're waiting on Gary to either call or put something in the chat here. And by the way, guys, we got another treat at the end of this. I'm not going to close the show out like we normally do with our bumper music and everything. Keebs is going to play us out on the mandolin tonight, and that's the way we're going to get out of the show. But we're not going to do it yet, Keebs. Here's Gary. Here's Gary coming in right now. Hey, Gary.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Oh, great. I tell you what.
How you doing, Gary?
We cannot thank you enough for offering to give this this number 119 Transcontinental Railroad light box. What a beautiful, beautiful item. And what a great gesture that you reached out to Jeff today and offered to give this thing away.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, it's an awesome gift somebody's going to win, and all of us appreciate it very much, Gary.
You're welcome. You guys know I like doing these kind of things. I like promoting goodwill towards each other, especially around the holiday season. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But Yeah, like you said, this is only the second of two. I happened to be online at the post office in Warrenton. Looked up and I saw the poster for these two particular stamps, and I was like, man, that would make a good diorama. As soon as I got back to Florida, I started working on them. I sent one to Scott Hanson, as you said. Well deserved. The man and his team put on an amazing event. I had such a good time, especially for their maiden voyage on their hunt.
It really was.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So the second one is ready to go out the door, and I want to get it, off to somebody, and I'll do that at first thing. The only thing is, unless somebody can prove me wrong, I'm looking at a 4-way tie.
A 4-way tie?
A 4-way tie. Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Let me see another number. Just hang on.
Hold on.
No.
Hold on before you give anything. Mark, you've got those written down. Write down all 4 of those numbers, and we're going to let Keebs pick a number between 1 and 4. That's the only way that we can do that, because you don't have 4 of them to give away. So
correct.
Just look at those numbers and then put them in order 1 through 4. And if you're ready, we'll just get Keebs to pick a number between 1 and 4, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I'm going to add a number to each one.
Okay. And by the way,
I randomly put the number. Go ahead.
And by the way, everybody in the chat tonight, you are the ones that voted for this. And am I correct on that? That's what you've went through, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay.
Correct. Everybody, and it's not a popularity contest. At least we don't want it to be. We want it to be somebody who's well deserving of something nice that they can put up on their mantle and, for the holidays. And right. I think there's some great names down here. Any of these 4 people, I would be proud to have, my my transcontinental 119 up on their shelf. So, yeah, I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Keebs. And by the way,
6.
Full disclosure here. I have no idea who these 4 people are. I'm watching 4 screens. I cannot watch the chat. And Keebs has no idea who this is. And Jeff has no idea who this is. Only Gary knows, and he's the one that's crunched the numbers. And if y'all have gone through and looked, maybe you've got some idea who these 4 are. But what number are you picking tonight, Keebs? 1 through 4. No, 6 now.
I'm going to choose the number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, again, I crunched the numbers. If somebody wanted to go back and look at and double check, that time is kind of past, because once I pick a winner, then that, even if there's an error, that person is the winner. And the winner of the transcontinental light box is Ohio Relic Hunter.
Great.
Rick, good job. Yay.
Good job.
Yeah, man.
Couldn't have picked a better guy. We love all of you in the chat, but Ohio Relic Hunter is always on the show. He's always hipping me and Jeff out by when we run a commercial. He'll put in AmericanDigger.com. He will put in CalicoMetalDetectors.com. He'll put in AmericanDigger.com. He's always helping us out. Just a great guy all the way around. And I tell you, I'm glad that I didn't get to vote, because, there's just a house full of good people here. But
I agree.
Congratulations, Bill. Congratulations.
And there's other people in the chat that helps out and puts the websites in and stuff too. But it was Ohio Relic Hunter, and that's who we picked. And I'm sure the rest of the names, of course, I don't know who they are, but I'm sure they're here pretty regular. So
Mark Thomas puts them in, and Rick Ward to put them in. And there's just a host of people here. That's why I'm glad I didn't get to vote on the thing, because I really didn't want to be in the running, although I would love to have something that Gary did. But it's about giving to someone else. It's not about getting all the time. And
not all the time.
Yeah, not all the time.
How Relic Hunter just put, I'm shaking a bit. I'm such a fan of Gary's work. So good deal. It's going into a good home, Gary.
Now here's,
you know something.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What I was just saying is I was actually just looking at that same post where he said that, and Ohio, I appreciate compliments like that. As you guys know, I don't sell my work. Nothing gets sold. I give away close to 98% of everything. All the stuff you see made that's on my website or on my Facebook page, all that stuff goes out the door. I don't sell any of it. A lot of it goes to my friends and local, people from Florida, because that's who I interact with on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see him making it kind of chokes me up a little bit when I see him making a statement like that. That's something that, for me, it's just, I love it, guys. I appreciate that stuff.
Well, I'll just tell you something, Gary. Anybody here tonight that would have won it would have made a similar statement, because your work is really appreciated by the metal detecting community. I mean, everybody sees you for who you are, that you are a giving and loving and talented individual. And anybody would just be blown away to be able to have a piece of your work, no doubt about it. Now, here's the deal, though. Bill Marsh, in order to get this, you're going to have to call in and say at least thank you. And I know you can go through one shirt. Come on, fella, call in tonight. 270-495-0315. All you have to say is thank you, and we'll let you off the line or off the hook. And for those of you that don't know, Bill is he is a great guy, but he really, really gets nervous whenever he calls in. We had him as a guest on the show one time, but the only way that he would come on, he came on with Mark Hoover, and it was a great show once we got him talking. But he said he went through 4 or 5 T-shirts during that show. So Bill, call us real quick before we close this thing out.
Oh, and don't forget, Bill's address is 102 North Street, Jaffrey, New Hampshire.
And we do have Mr. Ohio Relic Hunter on the line. I tell you what, we're making history tonight at the start of season 3. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, guys. Good night. No, I had to do that, and I don't have stage fright quite that bad, but it's just with the public audience here. But on a serious note, I am shaking a bit, and I am such a fan of your work, Gary, and I feel extremely honored. I really do. I mean, I haven't actually seen the piece. I went to your mydetecting.com page, and I didn't actually see it, but of course I got distracted with everything else that was on there, so I may have missed it.
Yeah, it's on the Relics Radio Facebook group page, Bill. We put it on there.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, we put it on there this afternoon. You are going to be blown away. I tell you.
You really are. It's beautiful. I mean, I was blown away when I seen the picture of it this morning. Yeah. And I mean, it's great work. Unbelievable. Gary, you done
well, I will definitely pay it forward. We've got the Christmas Kids giveaway coming up and all that kind of stuff, and that thing will definitely look good on my mantle too. So
yeah,
I'll put it in my so-called relic room that I haven't got organized yet. But
there you go.
There you go.
I've been working on mine for 5 years now, so I mean,
it's a never-ending process.
It is.
Yeah. And that'll make a great centerpiece. Gary, I'm sure that you want to say something to the Bill before he gets off, and we don't want to keep him no longer than we have to.
No, that's pretty much it. I appreciate his compliments. I appreciate everybody else's compliment, and my legacy that I've decided to create for myself, is just give back to the metal detecting community. I love metal detecting. I went today and I found an amazing thing myself. And it's one of the best hobbies that I've ever been involved with. And so, I wish I could get everybody something under their Christmas tree this year. And I'm going to do my best to do that, as the years go by.
Yeah. Well, you just being a representative of this hobby is a great gift to us. We don't have to have anything. other than just have you as an ambassador for this hobby is gift enough for me. And it's you, Jeff?
It sure is. It really is. You are ambassador to this hobby, and I mean, we love you to death.
And also, Scott Hanson has called in. He is the owner of the other one, so I do want to bring him on here tonight. Okay. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing
Hello,
great.
Scott. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, good. I just wanted to say thank you to Gary as well. I got home from work the other day and I was sitting there. I was looking at my phone quick and paging through and saw that Gary had offered up that he's going to send me that one, and I showed that post to my wife, and her jaw hit the floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh! But Gary, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome very much. You guys did such a good job on that hunt. I don't really go to too many hunts, and sometimes you got to go far to get to one, and it doesn't pan out. But I can tell you, your hunt, dollar for dollar, inch for inch, pound for pound, was easily one of the best ones I've been to. And I'm just talking about, not just talking about the things that came out of the ground, but I'm talking about the organization and the people you had involved, and the area in the back, that was set up for the lunch and the catering and the event the first night when I drove up in my van. Me and Jerry Burbaugh drove up, and we saw the white lights all through the lawn and the barn that was, just real rustic. It was very classy, and you guys did a great job, bang up job. You deserve it, and I hope you did you get it yet? Actually,
no, I haven't got it yet, but I'm thinking it'll probably come in the mail here today or later today, I should say. I'm at work. I work overnights, guys. So, But anyway, yeah, no, I appreciate your kind words about the hunt. It was a great success in my eyes as well, and I had a great team of people helping me out, and Alex Sanders and Amanda. Their venue there is just top notch, so we thank them as well.
Yeah. Like I said, you guys did a good job, and you're welcome, brother.
Oh, thank you.
We all have.
And Lloyd, we hope Lloyd can make it out to 2020.
Do what?
We hope you can make it to 2020, Lloyd.
Yeah, and if I'd have had a little bit more, warning on that, I probably could have made it, and I really did try to make it. But my wife had to be down in Tennessee because our youngest daughter and our oldest daughter were out of the country, and she was watching those kids, and I was watching the kids of the oldest daughter, and you can't leave them kids here all by themselves.
I know. No.
We'd have come home, they'd have had the house sold or something.
Yeah, I done that one time, and that was I'll never do it again.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting down there next year, and me and Jeff are going to do a live show down there. We love going out and doing the live shows at these hunts. And whether I get to hunt or not is beside the point, because the best thing that you're going to find is people like you guys, like Keebs and like Gary and Scott and Bill Marsh and Jeff and everybody else in the chat. I'm going to make everybody mad, but that's the best thing that you find. And we're starting our third season here, and we have met some of the most amazing people that have been guests, that have called in, that have been on the chat and everything, and tonight is no exception from that. So thank you guys.
That is the ultimate treasure for sure.
Yeah, and Gary, you helped us kick off this third season in a royal fashion here tonight, and we certainly do appreciate your talent and your generosity.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
And thank you, Bill Marsh, for calling in. Go change your shirt, brother.
Hey guys, I appreciate it. And once again, I just wanted to wish you a happy third anniversary on the show. It's been awesome. I don't think I've missed a show, period.
That's great.
I've gone back and listened to several archives and the whole 9 yards. So, we're just one big happy family with a bunch of passionate people that love what we do, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah, we're glad that you are a part of it, and all of you are a part of it. And, Scott, it was only appropriate that you call in because we were talking about the Digging Georgia Live to start with, and Mark Hoover and Jeff were both just carried away with the thing. And I hope that I'm a part of that next year as well. I've lived 150 years. Surely I can get one more year out of this old body.
Yeah. Well, we'd be happy to have you all, and we thank you for your support as well. Without our sponsorship, we would not have been able to put such an event together. So we're looking forward. We're already tossing ideas around for 2020. So
okay.
If anybody's out there that is not aware of our group, it's Digging Georgia Live. Come on Facebook, give us a holler. We'd be happy to have you.
Okay. I'm going to let you and Gary and Bill Marsh all go, and we're going to close the show out. But thank all you guys for calling in, and thanks for everything that you've done for us here tonight on Relics Radio. And as I told everybody, we are going to close this show out completely different than we do every other night, because rather than being a moonwalker, an orbiter, a great metal detectorist, and all of that, Keebs is an accomplished musician as well. So I'll let Jeff say his say, and then I will let Keebs be the bumper music as we close it out. Then, Jeff.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for everybody here. This is our third season coming up, and I mean, hopefully it's going to be great. Missed Mark Hoover tonight, and thanks, Keeb, for coming back on and talking to us redneck.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
And thanks, Gary, for the wonderful gift. And I want to tell everybody, keep Gary in your prayers. He lost his father this past Sunday. And he was able to do all this for the show. And, of course, I'd lost my mother a few months ago, and it's never easy. But, I mean, it's just please keep him in your prayers. So
I had forgot that. That's an old man for you. But Mark Hoover told me that whenever they got back that that had happened. I believe on Sunday, wasn't it?
It was.
So our thoughts and prayers are with the whole Penta family then, because of that loss. And I'll echo what Jeff said. We thank everybody for carrying us through these 2 years, and we're looking forward to this third season. We're probably going to make some changes in this season. Don't know what all that they will be, but we will see as the season begins to develop. We're just like the Curse of Oak Island. We're here to stay, I guess, even though we don't find all that much stuff. But go ahead, Keebs, and start playing, and I'll use you as my bumper music as I close everything out tonight. Mr. Keebler on the mandolin tonight.
Well, I got my old wife, but I got my old fiddle. I got cakes on the griddle. Life ain't nothing but a funny riddle. Everybody, come on.
Thank God I'm a country boy. There you go. And we go ahead and keep playing, Keebs.
Oh,
yeah, just keep playing. I'm gonna close it out, and I'll just the music and everything. We certainly do appreciate everybody joining us here tonight on Relics Radio to help us kick off our third season of this fantastic show, and it's a fantastic show because you guys make it fantastic. Want to remind you that Josh Kimball is on every Sunday and Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern with Beyond Sight and Sound. All Metal Mode is on Monday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern. American Digger Relic Roundup is on Monday night at 9 o'clock with Butch Holcomb, Jeff Lubert, and myself. Hardcore Metal Detecting with Derek Asklar and Craig Talley are on every Thursday and Saturday night at 8 o'clock. And then they've got those morning shows at 7 o'clock in the a.m. Eastern Time. And XP Team USA with Dave Kimball and Grant Hanson are every other Friday night. And me and Jeff will be back here next week. So come back next Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and we will see you then.